Was it paying attention? Welcome to Get Your Bell Rung, a pro wrestling podcast. I am your host, KG, and with me tonight is Robbie Idol. You may recognize him from WCW. He's also the author of Looking Up at the Lights, which I really highly suggest you guys buy that book and check it out. And also the host of Rasslin Memories, or the co-host, is the Grizzled Vet. What's going on, gentlemen?
Not much. How you doing, KG? How you doing, Michael?
Well,
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And let me
I
add,
thought I
man,
was doing good, but I
guest
kind of
on
based
Rasslin
off
Memories.
of it.
Let's add that to his resume. A guest on Rasslin Memories.
Oh yeah, and a guest.
We have over 100 listens on that podcast, on that radio episode so far.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a great.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
It went too fast. It went too fast.
Yeah.
When I heard Glenn say, "Let's wrap it up, boys," I was like, "What do you mean? We just started."
That tends to happen, man. That's the way we like it. You get going in conversation. Next thing you know, you're like, "Oh, timekeeper, ringing the bell. Got to go."
Right. I know. And I said that to a couple of my buddies, and they went, "Well, you were having a good time when it goes fast like that."
Yep, absolutely. Nick says, "What's up, guys? What's going on, Nick? Thank you for joining us tonight. Winter is coming. AEW. I'm not gonna lie. I enjoyed it bell to bell last night. I really thought that was a really good episode. Grizzle, I think you're probably the one that is a little bit more critical of AEW than even Robbie. What you think about the episode last night?
Man, maybe check the thermometer, check my temperature. I'm going to agree with you, man. Bell to bell from beginning to end, it was a pretty decent show. It had its, but
right.
Every show is going to have that. But no, I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I wasn't like looking at my watch going, is this fucking over yet?
Yeah, I agree. There was one match, and we'll get to it pretty quickly, that I was kind of about. And it wasn't good. I'm just not, as I always say, invested in the characters of this match. Robbie, what'd you think about the show last night?
Good show. I could have done without two matches, and we'll get to them when we get to them. One match, I won't give it away till it gets there. I kind of had a feeling where it was going to be, what I thought it would be. For most part, it was good. I mean, when we get to segments, I'll throw my opinion in there. Sure. But it was a good show.
Yeah. Now, Nick and I'm going to disagree with him, but I respect, Nick's opinion. He says Continental Classic is still a joke, but the show was good. I disagree. Look, if there's one thing that AEW does really well, in my opinion, is when they have these tournaments. Incredible matches during these tournaments. There's a couple of tournaments that they do, and I look forward to it because I think they're always good. Let's get into it though. Again, it was Winter is Coming. We started off with some action. AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship Tournament reached its conclusion. History was made. We had the Babes of Wrath, Holly Cameron and Willow Nightingale, against Timeless Love Bombs. Of course, talking about Toni Storm and Mina Shakira. What? Shikawa, whatever.
Right. I'm with you on that one, KG. Whatever.
I'll get those names out for you.
This is the match good match. I really didn't care though, because I'm just not invested in any of these women. I was at one time a Toni Storm fan. Her gimmick has just gotten old to me. Not taken away from their talent. Great talent. They put on one hell of a match. I just didn't care about it though, to be honest with you. Start with you, Robbie, man. What are your thoughts about the match? And, what's your thoughts on Babes of Wrath being the first? Bitch, by the way, that was your call. You've been calling that for weeks.
I know, right? I told you that was my pick. I like Babes of Wrath. I like Willow just because of the hardcore stuff she can do. I think Harley's come a long way from where she started. I like Harley. This was one of those matches, okay match. I thought was okay. To me, I wish they'd take Toni Storm and put her back by herself with Luther and get her away from Mina. I just think you need to take that and just split it. I mean, to me, it's more of a comedy act.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Toni Storm. I think she's great. I liked her by herself with Luther. Match was good, but to me it was a little disappointing. I just don't like Toni with Mina. I think they should just split them.
Yeah. And by the way, fans, after this recap, we're going to be talking about none other than John Cena, since Saturday Night Main Event is coming. Yeah. There it is, Little John. Grizzled Vet is showing us Little John. What the hell, man? Grizzle, what do you think about this match? But do you agree with Robbie about, Toni Storm needs to be by herself with Luther? Because I'll be honest with you, I'm even bored of that gimmick. I think that Toni, she needs to be repackaged. I'm not saying completely repackaged, but for myself, just that whole timeless Toni Storm thing has gotten boring. But look, I can admit, fans seem to love it. I'm only one person, though. Your thoughts on all of that, Grizzle?
First off, I am a timeless Toni Storm fan. I love Toni Storm. The timeless love bombs were my pick to win this. But hey, you can't win them all. Match was decent. I think Toni should go back and do her own, gimmick. She needs to be with Luther. And I've always thought a way to kind of keep it interesting was, she does the 1930s, 40s movie queen, right? Up a little bit. Change it to where she's a 1950s, 60s, like one of them Roger Corman, like badass girls or whatever. She can still be timeless, but you can change kind of her era.
Right.
I think would be kind of a way to keep it fresh. You can't keep her in the 30s. I've always thought that'd be an interesting way to keep her fresh. And then move her on to where the point you might have she's an 80s, chick or whatever. And eventually she'll do the biker gimmick thing or whatever. Just you can change her era to kind of keep her character fresh. I've always thought that's the way to go with Toni Storm.
And you know what? I like that, actually. I think Tony Khan, I know you watch this, man. You need to hire one of my guys in creative, because that is actually, I think that's such a great idea. It really is. And I swear to you, we're going to see it happen. I look, there's been too many times on this podcast where myself or someone else has said something that we think Tony Khan should do in creative, and I'll be goddamn if it's not done. I'm just saying we need to stop giving away free shit. But I like that, Grizzle. I think that would keep Toni Storm fresh. Robbie, I mean, is that something that you would like to see? Yeah. Or are you okay with the timeless Toni Storm just being exactly where she's at, the whole 30s, 40s thing?
No, that would be pretty cool. I mean, you just kind of move her, and once it starts to get a little stale, move her to the next era. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you can do with her, so that would be pretty cool. I mean, that Tony Khan needs to definitely take that advice and run with it.
Yeah, I agree. I'll take a time out for talking about AEW Dynamite just for a second, because I know that it's going to leave my brain and I won't remember this. As I said, we're going to be talking about John Cena a little bit later. It just came out. And again, let me say that I don't know how true this is, because I read this right before we went on the podcast. I wasn't able to dig into it to verify anything, but it is reported that the John Cena and Gunther match at Saturday Night Main Event is supposed to start Saturday Night Main Event. I think that's crazy myself. I think it should finish Saturday Night's Main Event. Grizzled Vet, what do you, if they indeed do this, do you think this is the right move, or do you think that John? This whole thing was built around John Cena. They should finish the night off instead of start it, or do you think that it's fine to start the night with that match?
I've read the same story that you read. I haven't seen any sources to really back it up, though. It's just kind of this one headline that's come out. Opening, I don't think it's a good idea to open the show, because the whole thing is supposed to be John Cena's main event, or final match or whatever. I don't think it's the right idea. I don't think it'd be a good idea to have these young guys following him, because fan interest is in John Cena's final match. They sold like 17,000 tickets. They didn't sell 17,000 tickets to people wanting to see Cody Rhodes versus Obafemi. They didn't pay to see Bayley versus Saul Ruka. they're there to see John Cena's final match. Don't give it to him right at the beginning. But I'm not WWE. Maybe they're going to do it that way so they can have a big John comes back out to do the big speech send-off at the end of the show. I don't know. But once again, like I said, I haven't seen anything that confirms that story. I have read that rumor, though.
Yeah. And this is the thing, and Robbie, tell me your thoughts on this. I think that they would be risking, if they started Saturday's main event with Cena versus Gunther, them losing a lot of viewership after that match. I think people would turn the channel. I really do. Obviously, the 17,000 bought their tickets. They are live. They would keep that crowd. But rating wise, I think they would lose some of their live the viewership. Or am I crazy, Robbie? Hey, these are wrestling fans, so they're going to sit through and watch the entire damn show, even if they start the match off with Cena and Gunther. Your thoughts?
No, if they started, I totally agree. I think if nothing else, you'd probably lose half of that viewership, because half of them are there just to see Cena. So you might as, that'd be insane to start that with, I mean, yeah, the people that are there, they're definitely going to, stay because they bought their tickets. And from, what I've heard, they've been kind of outrageous. So you'd be kind of an idiot to leave after the first match anyways. But TV, yeah, I can imagine people switching. I mean, because your mixture, think about it, isn't like college football going on. So you're going to have people going, oh, I want to see this game. I already seen Cena. That's the match I want. So let's go watch this college game I want to see. I mean, I can see it.
Yeah. Now, and I said this in the last podcast, I didn't hear anything about Collision being aired on another date or even earlier. It was clarified last night in Dynamite that Collision absolutely will be aired earlier than normal. I think that's a great move by Tony Khan, because I think Collision's ratings would be worse than they've ever been if he tried to go head to head.
Would they have a rating?
So, well, that's the thing.
If they went head to head, I think it'd be I didn't realize only one person could be registered as viewing a.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think if he went head to head, what would wind up happening, and I don't know how this works, as far as them trying to keep up with ratings. I think Collision Live, the ratings would be terrible, as you said. I think you would have a lot of people go back to watch it, at a later date or later time after Saturday night's main event who are Collision fans. But yeah, head to head, live wise, absolutely, they wouldn't get anything. Next, we go to Samoa Joe.
Wait. I wasn't. I had a couple of comments about the ladies' match, actually.
Oh, go ahead.
I kind of want to get Rob. I wanted to get Bob's opinion on this. Best wishes to Bob and all that, because hope he's doing well and getting better and everything. But there was a spot in the ladies' match was decent. It was an okay start to the show.
Yeah.
And God bless Willow and Harley. They looked amazing in those outfits. I'm sorry. I'll play the Bob card on that one. God damn, those girls are hot. Jesus Christ.
Right, especially Harley.
No, they both, and like I said, that little bump thing they do. I'm good. But no, there was a spot in the match. Harley was throwing punches with, I believe, Mina.
Mm-hmm.
I saw not one punch connect out of like the 6 she threw. Am I the only one that saw this?
No,
Robbie, did you notice this?
Yes.
Does Harley need to work on some punches?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. That's why I'm surprised. Look, I like Harley. She's funny, right?
She's new, though. She's still green.
But that's my thing, is I think that they made a bad call. I think putting a title on her, even a tag team title right now, I just think it's the wrong call. I think that they should have put the title on the Love Bombs, but then that would also tie Tony Storm up with having this tag team and the tag titles versus going back on that singles run. Grizzled, I mean, do you think this is the right call, man?
Judging on the popularity that they've achieved over the course of this tournament, yes. When the match, as it got to the finals, I was totally going, okay, I can see Robbie's side of this. They're going to win this because they've been the underdog and the fans have been behind them. So I can see why they did it. It's a fan thing. Everybody loved it, cheered. And I'm not saying anything bad about Harley. That just really stood out as a sore thumb, and it kind of took me out of the match for a second because the punches just looked horrible. There was just nothing good about those. But I can see why they did it. I do think, though, that they need to work on their, what are we, babes? What do we have? Wrath. What does that mean? We have wrath. Okay. I didn't quite get that part of it. Maybe they need to work on their promos a little bit, polish them up. But, overall, the fans love them. The fans are behind them, and that's what they wanted to see. So I can see why they went with this one.
This is the problem with going with what the fans love and they want to see. A lot of today's wrestling fans fucking suck. They're fickle and they're going to turn on them. By the way, fans, please subscribe to the podcast after this video. But Robbie, am I wrong here, man? It wouldn't shock me at all within the next 2 weeks we start hearing the fans boo.
No, it would. No, but if you run through the tag teams that were there and play, and maybe they, which would be amazing that they played being practical. Okay, you couldn't put the straps on Megan and Marina because they're basically, Megan's with Penelope Ford. Marina's basically with the Death Riders on there. So you couldn't do it with Mercedes and Athena because they're, one's in TNA, one's in here. So you look at that. And then if you're going to separate Tony and the other one, so you had that was probably the obvious choice just because, they have been singles and stuff, but you could throw them together and they wound up gaining popularity. Yeah. You take the run with it. Through the whole night, those punches, there were some other matches that punches looked really shitty, so,
This is my problem with AEW bringing in a tag division, the tag team belts for the women's division.
Right.
I feel like that they only did this was just to do it because there's no tag division in the women's division. There's really not. So who are they? Are they just going to, for the next however long, just throw people together just to have them face babes?
Hasn't that been WWE's women's tag division for pretty much this entire run?
Yeah.
Right.
Except for one or two teams.
Same team I forgot about was Sky Blue and Julia Hart. So those were like the only that was the true tag team. You know?
Yeah, you're right. Go ahead, Grizzle. You're right.
Sorry, Mike. I just wanted to throw that out before you stole my thunder.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to steal no thunder, Robbie. Sorry.
You can't.
I agree with both of you guys. If you want to bring WWE in it, you're right. They don't have a female women's tag team in the division. And especially with WWE, it blows my mind because they have so much opportunity with NXT to create a homegrown women's tag team division. They really do. AEW, on the other hand, you have Ring of Honor, which is kind of like their NXT, if you will. But I don't know if they have any women, even with ROH, that they can grow enough of tag teams for the women's division. Grizzle?
No, they don't. They're just put together. And this kind of goes with what I said about Babes of Wrath. At first, it was just Willow and Harley. It was just two girls thrown together. The entire tournament was that pretty much. But Tony and Mina became timeless love bombs. And Willow and Harley became Babes of Wrath. Then you still had sister, and even what was it? Megan and Marina were mega bombs or whatever they were calling it or something. They were starting to get tag team names. And I think that's part of the reason why they went with Babes of Wrath, because they probably gelled the most as a team.
Yeah.
Other than like Sisters of Sin, but
Right. Yeah. All right, next we go to the Samoa Joe backstage with a promo talking about his title tonight against Eddie Kingston. I'm going to tell you, this is one of the matches that I just wasn't looking forward to, and I'll stop there. We'll get to it once we get there. Did this promo do anything for either one of you gentlemen? Robbie?
No.
Yeah, Grizzle?
It was a standard promo. I mean, I think they've done the most what they can do to promote the match and get it set up. So,
right.
I think the promo they did in ring last week probably set it up for me and got more interest from me on that one than the promo that Joe did this week.
Yep, I agree. Next, we go to the Continental Classic Gold League. Okada against Jack Perry. Now, originally, it was supposed to be Darby Allin, but Darby Allin was injured, so they had to take him out and put Jack Perry in. It was an okay match. Okada got the victory. Jack Perry has been reported that he legit had an ankle injury during that match. He was able to finish it, but he is hurt.
Oh, Lord.
This was his first singles match back from his other injury. Man, AEW just has bad luck when it comes to injuries. They really do. Grizzle, what did you think about this match, man?
Better than I thought it was going to be. I'm not going to, nothing against Jack Perry. He's a character I liked it better as Jungle Boy. I was, but he had to grow up and become a man. To quote Chris Elliott, I'm no longer Cabin Boy, I am Cabin Man. So now he's Jungle instead of Jungle Boy. But it was better than I thought it was going to be. I was impressed. I mean, Jack got some spots in, held his own as much as he could against Okada. I mean, regardless of what AEW has done to him to Americanize him and kind of change around, it's still Okada. The guy is still a legend in that ring. Better match than I thought it was going to be. Not one of my favorite matches of the night, but decent for what it was.
Yep. Robbie, your thoughts on this match?
Not bad. I mean, I agree with Mike on that one, better than I thought. The only issue I have with Okada is when you watch him throw that clothesline, he don't care where he hits you with. He's just reckless with that. It's like, you would think somebody would say something to him. That's the issue I have with him. Since, I mean, when he first came to America, was better. I just think he's kind of gotten lazy now, now that he's one of the top guys. The issue I have with him is just that clothesline, he's just throwing, he don't care where he hits you with it, as long as he hits you, the one he threw, or maybe the final one, the Rainmaker or whatever, he just looked like he kind of clocked him in the chin or whatever, so other than that, though, it was a decent match,
Yeah. Now, and Okada got the win. After the match, Don Callis' family confronted Perry, trying once again to pull him into their family. Perry refused. He said, doesn't matter how many guys you are, I'm still going to attack you. And he was getting his ass kicked. And then, of course, Luchasaurus came for the rescue. And that rescue was one of the most confusing fucking rescues I've ever seen in pro wrestling. I'm going to be honest, because he ran to the ring and then he stopped and he looked around. And I'm like, what's going on? I was actually, for a second, thinking to myself, holy shit, is Luchasaurus going to turn heel already? He just got back. But then 10 seconds passes by and Young Bucks comes in with chairs from the back. They all make the save. Grizzled Vet, was this the best save you've ever seen?
Well, no, obviously. It was no Jeff Hardy run in, though, for the save. That's for sure. I saw what you saw, but then when the Bucks came in from the other side with the chairs, I think I caught onto it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it was just a timing issue.
Right.
They didn't get. It's like he got to the stop like this, and they see Jungle. So like, okay, what are you gonna do? And then that allows the Young Bucks to slide in. I think maybe the Young Bucks were maybe a step off, and so it seemed to me like maybe it was a timing.
Yeah. Well, that's what I got out of it. That what it was supposed to happen, or how we're supposed to perceive it, is Luchasaurus is standing there. He's the big guy. He's distracting the Don Callis family, giving the Young Bucks the opportunity to come in to shock them with the chairs. I just don't think it went that way. It looked a little awkward, in my opinion. Robbie, your thoughts on that, man?
No, I totally agree with you. It wasn't a little awkward. It was a lot awkward. Like you saying, a little timing issue is a big timing issue, because when he stopped, I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You know, why are you stopping? And then you seen the Bucks come in and you're like, okay, somebody did not time this thing right. You know, It was like, I think the timing was off. Just, you know, it didn't go as they planned. It just didn't go as they planned.
Right. Next, we see Eddie Kingston speaking with Renee Paquette about, or Paquette. Yeah, Paquette. God, why can't we have normal fucking last names?
Renee Moxley.
You're right.
Renee Moxley.
Right. Talking to Eddie Kingston about his match. Now, I was looking at Eddie Kingston, his face, because during that interview, they kind of just showed for the chest up. And I was thinking, man, has he dropped some weight? And we'll get to that in a second when we get to this match. It was a standard interview. Next, we go to Mark Briscoe, who was interrupted by the Death Riders. Again, you know, if you guys want to talk about that, we can, but it was what it was. Then we have AEW Women's Champion Chris Statlander. She ends up fighting off the Triangle of Madness to keep things from getting completely out of control. You guys thoughts on any of that shit?
That's about what I would call that, because it was just a bunch of one promo after another with the little run thing. As far as Eddie Kingston goes, yes, he has lost some weight. That's an obvious. His promo, I like Eddie, because Eddie isn't full of bluster. He doesn't pretend to be like this over the top, whatever. He's just kind of average guy. And Mark Briscoe's the same way. They both do the, you know, maybe Mark's a little bit more on the, you know, a little bit too many shots to the head side of it, but they pull off the just normal guy, where any guy in the audience would be like, yeah, I like it. Yeah, what he said, because it sounds like one of them. I mean, you know, you can see Mark Briscoe. I mean, I used to work as a bouncer at a bar. Mark Briscoe sometimes talking reminds me of a guy I saw that might have had a few beers and wanted to challenge me for a second. You just kind of look at him and go, okay.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
he's the everyday guy.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Briscoe and Eddie Kingston, for that matter, is kind of like your average, ordinary, next door neighbor type of a thing, right? And I think because of that, they're relatable to a lot of your average, ordinary guys. So, you know, like I said, I didn't hate it, but it was one of those things that if they would have skipped all of that, I would have missed it. Robbie, agree, disagree?
No, I totally agree. I know how you like this thing out of the Briscoes. Jay was the way better promo guy. You know, I liked his promos. He was just that straightforward kind of, okay, like I'm a badass and stuff. I always liked him. Too bad Mark didn't kind of grasp some of that, you know. Jay was way better, you know, and then even sending the Death Riders, like the stuff that, and I'm not invested in Yuta. I'm not a big fan of him, and I'm not a fan of Garcia, and both, they need to be taught promos, because what they were saying was just stupid. You know, I mean, the way they were coming off, it was just like, wow, who told you to say that stuff?
Right.
You know? Right. So I could have missed that whole all of it. They could have missed all of that.
Here's my question about the Death Riders, because you know you saw Moxley in the back doing his promo, and
yes,
you know you can see he's losing, and he's got Garcia and he's got Yuta in the back. Yuta's looking like a homeless man again still. Why is it when they do these group promos that the two guys are the most believable badasses of the group, Pac and Castagnoli, are never there? Moxley's always backed up by like Garcia and Wheeler Yuta.
Right. Well,
he needs like Pac and Castagnoli back there to give it a little more credit, because those guys look like someone you don't want to fuck with. You know, Wheeler looks like the guy you're going to give a buck to on the street corner, and Garcia just, well, we've been force-fed Daniel Garcia.
Right. You know, well, the badass out of that group was Marina. So, you know.
I mean, this is the way I'm taking. If I'm trying to put myself in the mind of Tony Khan, and there's a whole lot of confusion there, believe me. But I think that the reason why you see Yuta, you see Garcia, is because those are the guys that they're really trying to push right now. They're trying to get them to the next level. That's just my opinion of why you see them instead of Pac and Castagnoli, because I mean those guys are established.
Can I steal one of Cook's lines on this one with Garcia and Yuta? Those two couldn't fill a gymnasium.
Right.
That was your headliner, right? Hey, they're there, and not to take anything away from them, but I don't think they'll ever be top guys.
No, I agree. I think Daniel Garcia was getting a little bit of steam last year for a moment, but I think he lost that steam pretty quickly as well.
Yeah. And I don't think Yuta ever had it. And I mean,
no.
to badmouth either one of them, they just, they have their purpose, but I don't think they'll make it as top guys.
Do you guys remember I think the worst position they ever put Yuta was either last year or maybe the year before, where they actually put him in a promo going against MJF. And I mean, it was terrible because I'm thinking, who in creative thought of this terrible idea? Why would you put Yuta going directly against MJF in basically a promo war? Because they weren't in the ring. They didn't have this feud together. It just so happened that Yuta was there, MJF walked out, and they kind of went, back and forth with one another. I mean, MJF is he is their best promo guy in AEW. And for them to do that, I'm like, okay, do they really like Yuta? Or are they just trying to make this kid look like he's fucking an idiot? Grizzle, do you remember that?
I don't recall a Wheeler, but then again, I didn't follow. I mean, I watched AEW, but I like to watch it with my hand on the fast forward button. So that might have been something I skipped a lot of. I watch this show now because of you, KG. For the quality of this show, I watch Dynamite religiously. Used to be, I would find out the stuff I wanted to see and then fast forward through the rest of it.
Well, you know what? You're welcome, Tony Khan. Get your bell rung, Pro Wrestling Podcast, getting those ratings up for you.
Right. Well, yes, because I'm right there with the Grizzled Vet on
that. The next match, it definitely wasn't the best match, but you want to talk about two guys getting put together that I think just look great together. Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. They both have this crazy look about them. And there's that one shot where they're just staring at one another. They both look like they're fucking lost their minds. They're madmen. I think they look great together. I really do. Again, this wasn't the best match on the show, but it was entertaining. And I was a little shocked at the fact that it wasn't exactly a squash match, but it wasn't too far from being a squash match. I mean, Strickland and Adam Page really had their way with the ops. Robbie, we'll start with you, man. What did you think about this? And do you see what I'm saying about Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland, just looking at them together?
Yes. I liked the match. I think it was one of the better matches of the night. I will say this. You had all the people that you put as the ops that you're supposed to be training. You should have left them out because that did nothing for your credibility.
No.
I mean, Page and Swerve went right through them. I mean, nothing happened. They got their asses beat. So, I mean, if these are the guys you're training, you didn't do anything for your credibility. Sorry, but, that was my takeaway on that. You're sending 10, 12 guys at these guys, and, I mean, they cleaned house with them in a couple minutes, Yeah. The match was good, though. I liked it. I thought it was good. I mean, but yes, I can see the two of them together, and when they both stared at each other, they almost had that thought, are they going to go at it right now here, and from there, and then all of a sudden they turned and, they went their way. So, but I liked the match. I think it was one of the top, one of the top matches of the night. Not the top, but it was one of the tops.
Grizzle, here's a question for you. If AEW, the powers that be at AEW decided, you know what? We're going to actually make a legit tag team, Adam Page, Swerve Strickland. Do you think that they could have a massive future ahead of them as a tag team, or no, they're just better being
They're
singles?
better off being singles because we invested so much time into that feud they had where, Swerve Strickland bought his childhood home and Adam Page burned it to the ground, which I love the fact that they played everybody with that, oh my God, he bought a childhood home. Suckers. They've done too much with it to where even if you paired them up for a while, you're going to inevitably wait for them to split back up again because there's too much backstory between the two of them. It works for now, but eventually they're going to split off. We know. God, I hope they don't give Adam Page a shot at Samoa Joe at World's End because that would be like the third time in a row on pay-per-view, and it's like quit beating a dead horse. But no, the match was good. I agree with the Ops Training Academy. You're sending the rookies up there, and they're getting binged by the chain, and they need to get rid of the staple gun. I'll get rid of it because I'm sorry, I've used a staple gun. I hate to say this, I have accidentally stapled myself with a staple gun. I never dropped to the ground and went, the pain. I went, ow, shit, and then pulled the staple out of my leg.
Only time
it's not that dangerous.
The only time, and this has happened to me, that the staple gun becomes very painful was I accidentally hit it and it went through a fingernail. That shit hurts. But on your skin,
these guys are dropping like rocks when they're going bink in the shoulder, like, no, just pull it out and continue. It's not, you didn't get shot with a gun. It was a staple.
Yeah. We're
giving the staple gun too much power.
I agree about what you say about World's End and Adam Page, but knowing that creative, they're not very unpredictable. The AEW is a little bit, predictable. I would almost predict that the thing that's going to split up Adam Page and Swerve and get them back at one another is Swerve is actually going to get the shot before Adam Page at the championship against Joe, and that's going to put those two at odds. But if they did keep them as
or vice versa,
or vice versa,
get the belt back, and then Swerve's going to be like, "All right, buddy, my turn."
Yeah,
and then here we go. We're back to the races.
Right. But if they kept them as a tag team, the perfect name for the group would be House of Fire. I mean, it really would, because it would, I think that'd be awesome. Yep. And as I said, Swerve and Page took the win. Afterwards, Don Callis laid out a challenge for the Young Bucks, and Stokely Hathaway announced that Collision, A Winter Is Coming, will feature an AE Tag Team Champion match. Now, let's go back to the whole Young Bucks thing. There's a backstage segment with the Young Bucks saying that they needed a partner, and Luchasaurus was there. Luchasaurus said no, and then pointed to the door. And it's no other than Kenny Omega. I thought this was just fucking terrible. I'm sorry, guys. I thought that spot was terrible. Grizzled Vet, you start off, man.
I'm gonna be the guy in this one. Yeah, the promo wasn't great, but man, there's a part of me I'm kind of excited. I want to see the entrance. I want to hear "Carry On, My Wayward Son," because that was the Elites. I want to see it one more time because they were good. I liked them together. So there's a part of me I'm kind of looking forward to seeing this match.
Well, I'm not shitting.
The promo itself was kind of goofy.
Well, that's it. I'm not shitting on the fact. I'm not shitting on the fact that they're putting Kenny Omega with the Young Bucks to do this. No, that's great, right? I'm excited for that. I agree with you. It was the promo, is what I'm saying. That was
the way they say it was corny, but little cheese ball. But hey, don't we all have a little cheese in our wrestling on a game? Come on.
No, I hate cheese, man. Can't stand it. Robbie, your thoughts on this, man?
I kind of knew where they were going to go. You knew it was going to be Omega. So, but the way they did it, it was, yes, it was goofy. It was just kind of goofy. Even though we passed it a little bit, the Don Callis thing again. Mm-hmm. Here you're going to bring him in, and this is what you think back about it. Okay, he's allowed to throw punches at guys, go after him, kick him, do his half-ass kicks, whatever, and he gets his little airtime and stuff. but no consequences, and of course, whatever the guy that took the shot for him. But think about this. Prince Nana, he has had hands put on him and stuff, and he took the kicks from them. So I just don't get, why does Don Callis get away with?
I can tell you why.
Okay,
and I can't believe I gotta tell you why, because you are such a great wrestling talent, and you're from the era that I'm about to bring up, because you've said this more than once, right? And that left me wanting to remind myself of how it was in the days of management with wrestling management. So I went back and watched a lot of old WWE with Bobby Brain Heenan, with the Mouth of the South, right? A bunch of those guys. And if you notice, the heel managers very rarely had hands put on them until they did, because when it happened, it made it special. If you constantly had consequences coming to him over and over again, it would take away how special it was. Chris Nana right now, he is a baby face. Baby faces are the ones that get their hands, that have hands put on them more so than the heels, right? Because it adds to it. But yeah, with you saying those things, it made me go check out a lot of the 80s stuff, and
okay.
Bobby Brain Heenan, very rarely did he have hands put on him until it did happen, and it made it special. The crowd went nuts.
Right, but and Steven, I'm not even talking about like WWF stuff, but like from Florida Championship Wrestling. So you had, like, I remember Sir Oliver Humperdinck.
Yep.
There'd be times that, and he was a heel, he would, they'd have hands on him. It just seems like that this is just, you never see any hands put on Callis at all. I mean, it just,
right.
I don't get it, but
Yeah.
Like KG said, though, and we can go out of WWE. How many, you mentioned Sir Oliver Humperdinck, but didn't he actually wrestle at one point in time, though, too?
Yeah, but Callis wrestled. So
Callis wrestled back in the day, too. But if you look at managers, though, it's not just WWE. How many times did somebody put their hands on Jim Cornette? But how many, compared to how many times he got them? Same thing, with, Total World Class Championship Wrestling. What about Gary Hart? You never put your hands on Gary Hart.
No,
but when you finally got your hands on Gary Hart, it meant something.
Right. But I mean, you did see Cornette, though. You'd see him get
Cornette on occasion, but it had to mean something.
Right.
Right. Eventually somebody's going to get their hands on Don Callis. It's going to happen. Yeah. And when it does, everybody's going to like flip out again. I remember he still has a scar on that forehead from the last time he got the.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's one of those things that as a heel manager, if he got his coming uppings, right, on a regular basis, there was those consequences on a regular basis, it wouldn't mean anything anymore. Who cares? He got his ass kicked once again. So I think it's, well, at least I'm hoping it's one of those things that they're following kind of the old school wrestling book, that he's a heel, he's a manager. So when it happens, it's going to happen.
So it should, if it was for it to mean something, then it should be in this match then, because of him going at Kenny Omega, at the Young Bucks. So this would make sense that he would get his ass whipped here.
Yeah,
something.
I mean,
or he'd get hit somehow, even if it was by an accident, one of his own guys, something.
Yeah. I want to go back real quick to Stokely Hathaway announcing that the on Collision Winter's Coming will feature an AEW Tag Team Championship match. Look, I'm going to be honest, when Stokely got put with FTR, at first I was just like, why? Like it didn't look right for me. It almost felt like he was out of place for some reason. But as time is going on, I really like these three together. I really do. What are you guys' thoughts about Stokely being with FTR? And did I miss something here? Did I miss them announce who they're facing on Collision?
Bang Bang Gang.
Is it Bang? That's what I figured.
Yeah, it's Juice and
right.
Austin.
Right. Yeah,
Austin
I agree.
Gunn.
Robbie, what are your thoughts about the whole FTR and Stokely Hathaway being put together? But let me remind you real quick that according to FTR, originally When they hired Stokely, it was because of FTR. They were supposed to be put together at the very beginning, but because FTR became this massive babyface tag team, they put him with Tully Blanchard instead. The original question: Stokely Hathaway with FTR. Your thoughts?
I'm gonna pull one of your lines. I'm not invested in any of the three. I've never been a fan of them. Why? I don't know. I mean, I know everybody's like, oh, they're old school, this, that. I just have never, from the time I've seen them in NXT to WWE to here, I just can't tell you why. Just never invested in them.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm not invested in a babyface FTR. I love them as heels. I really, really do. Grizzled Vet, same question.
I'm going to give those old tropes that Robbie just ripped on about. I like the old school feel of FTR as a heel. You know, Stokely with FTR. It's Cornette with the Midnight Express. It's Bobby with, you know, Arn and Tully in WWF. JJ with them in NWA. It's that old school heel team with a manager. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never got it much as good guys. No, but, you know, it's the old school thing. That's kind of why I like it.
Yep. Next for myself was the fucking match of the night. As much as I hate to say it, because I was not ever invested in Speedball Mike Bailey, but goddamn, the guy won me over because he is so goddamn good in the ring. And I'm talking about Speedball Mike Bailey against Kyle Fletcher. The shock was Speedball Mike Bailey actually winning this match, but goddamn, this is one hell of a match. I mean, I enjoyed this match so much so that I actually rewound it and watched it twice. I mean, this was just a good damn match. Good with that, yeah, man.
I'm same as you. This was match of the night for me. I went back and watched it a second time because I know for a fact I missed something, and I did. I knew there was so much going. But I've always liked Speedball Mike Bailey, though. You know, he was over in TNA doing this thing. I've always liked him. People just kind of go because, oh, he's too small. Oh, he's this. You know, I mean, he's got the most beautiful mullet in professional wrestling. That hair is amazing. He's talented. You don't know where he's coming from.
Let me interrupt you. The reason why I've never been invested, I've never not liked him. You cannot take away from that man's talent, right? The reason why I was never invested, and I've explained this, and I'm not going to go to deep explanation, but he reminded me too much of old school, back in the cheesy 80s, 1980s WWF that I wasn't a fan of. His gear, everything. But again, he is so good in the ring that for myself, I could not invest in him, you know, anymore. He starts to win me over. He's too good not to invest in him. I mean, he's such a good wrestler. He really is.
Okay, I'll give you the gear. Okay, yeah. You look at it, you know, he looks like he could have walked onto the set of the Karate Kid sequel and, you know, gone toe-to-toe with Daniel LaRusso. That's fine. But what about an 80s style wrestler would you compare him to as far as you saying you don't like the 80s? Because I don't see an 80s correlation.
I'm strictly, it's not comparing him to anyone. I'm strictly talking about his look.
Well, yeah, the look is definitely
right. Like I'm talking about his look, and his look forever distracted me away from how good he was. But again, he is so good in the ring that I couldn't use that distraction anymore. He won me over. I mean, you know, now I will say this, as good as Kevin Knight is, and goddamn, he's good too. I want to see these guys on a single run. I don't want them to be a tag team anymore. I think having them in a tag team, it literally does them a disjustice because of the fact of how good they both are. And again, that's just my opinion.
They got to go with thing. You know, one thing also made this match so great. It wasn't just Speedball. Yeah. And you love the fact I was shocked when he got the pin. I'm like, wow, I was not expecting that. And I like that. I like it when you get a surprise.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you can't take away from the guy that was on the other side of the ring.
Oh my God. No.
Kyle Fletcher is fucking amazing. Pardon my language. That guy is, I don't know where, I mean, I know where it came from, but where he learned, who trained him, what he's learned. He is amazing. And that ring gear, and I've been waiting to make this joke since Robbie came on the show today. His ring gear is as bright as the shirt that Robbie Idol is wearing tonight. For a man to pull off that neon pink, whatever. But no, Kyle Fletcher is he's one of those that you can't believe what this guy can do. I think it is fucking amazing.
Yeah, I think Kyle Fletcher, for the longest time, he was affiliated with he's on injury right now.
Mark Davis, the Aussie Open.
Who's that?
Mark Davis.
No, not Mark Davis, the other guy. They're very comparable, their styles. Osprey, right.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the fact that he was kind of, because remember, he was a member of Aussie Open with
he was
which was affiliated with Will Ospreay.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I think Osprey, I don't think Osprey is better than him, but I think Osprey had more of a name than what Fletcher did for a while. And I think by completely separating, right, Osprey and Fletcher, getting Fletcher away from Mark, even though Mark Davis, he is in the Dynamite family, but by featuring Kyle Fletcher by himself, it's all the talent. And I think with Osprey being taken off of AEW because of an injury, I think that he's been highlighted a lot more, and it truly showed how good this kid is. I actually think Kyle Fletcher is better than Osprey. If you really want to get, me to give my
Osprey, I think likes to dance too much. To put it, he does the choreography. Now Kyle Fletcher can do that too, but he can also just pull off just some of the great, and it's crisp. Everything he does is believable. Nothing is like, oh, that stuff. No, everything he does. I mean, I could spend the rest of the show just talking about how amazed I am by Kyle Fletcher.
I would dare to say that if Kyle Fletcher was given the award of Wrestler of the Year in 2025, I wouldn't be shocked, because that's just how damn good he is. Robbie, do you agree with Indus? Do you agree about, because I know you're not a Speedball Mike Bailey fan either. Do you disagree with what we're saying?
No, this was definitely the match of the night. I mean, they both did amazing things. Not a fan. It's, to me, the kid. Yes, Speedball is very good. His gear comes off as cartoonish. Is how it strikes me. He's just kind of cartoonish. Because I know the vet here he's invested in Speedball and likes him. My issue was, okay, you're pushing Kyle, and now I know it's supposed to be the surprise thing, and you knew it was coming when it's either, I don't know, Shivani or the dude that wears the mask or whatever. One of them said they only met one other time, and Speedball won in Japan. And you went, they're putting this kid over. And here's my issue. Whoever's picking these things, and if Tony Khan's got the say in this, like final say, he needs to be punched in the head. My issue is, because I know he's invested in Speedball, I'm invested in Roddy, just because I know him. So how can you take, and you're going to make where Roddy has no points, and now you're going to put this kid over a guy you're trying to push, and saying, here's my next big superstar. Yes, he got the surprise win, but to me, Speedball and Roddy, they're, Roddy's better than Speedball. That's my opinion of it. But I mean, Speedball can do some other things, but I think I liked Fletcher when I had first saw him. I just thought I liked him, and then when they split him, you thought this kid had a chance to go places. I thought he was going to be, and I mean, he is. He's definitely, you definitely could tell he could be your guy that could carry your company.
Right. Now, you're talking about Roderick Strong, right?
No. I'm carrying the company as Kyle Fletcher.
No, but you said you're invested in Roddy.
Yes, I'm invested in Roddy just because I know him.
Right, but this is the thing with Roderick Strong. I think the only reason why that he's not having this huge push in this tournament is I think he's about to be in the middle of a pretty big storyline with him turning heel. And I'm not saying that they can't do both. I'm not saying that they can't push him and give him, this push in this tournament. For whatever reason, they decided not to. But it's not like they're just tossing Roger Strong to the side and they're not doing anything with him. I think that he's about to be, again, in this pretty big storyline with the group that
right, Paragon or whatever.
Right.
But here,
and I think that we're going to pretty soon see a storyline between Roderick Strong and Briscoe, actually. I think it's going to first be with Orange Cassidy. And then after that, I think it's going to be with Roderick Strong. As soon as Roderick Strong is done with the whole Garcia thing.
Right. But
so I get what you're saying. I love Roderick Strong as well. I think he is so talented. But at the same time, it's not like they just push him to the side and forget about.
No, but the other issue is with this, and I get it, it's the surprise win, but you put Fletcher over Okada. So,
right.
And I mean, the to me, the obvious choice or who you're going to push to win this belt, and make him double champion is Fletcher. I mean, the both sides, blue and gold, Fletcher's the one with, the most potential, a lot of talent, and that's the guy I think that could carry your company.
But Kyle Fletcher still can win this tournament. It's not like if they lose, they're completely out of it.
Right. No, I know.
Right. Grizzle, what's your thoughts on what Robbie said?
As far as this match, I think everybody likes the underdog, and that's Speedball
except for Robbie.
So it's it ain't gonna hurt Kyle Fletcher.
No.
I think Kyle's one of the top guys to actually win this tournament this time around. I'm hoping they don't do the weird thing with the finals like they did last year. I don't know if you remember some of that cockamamie crap where the winner or the second place runner-up of the Gold League and the runner-up of the Blue League would face each other, and then they would go on to a final match against the winner of this, and the guy who lost in the semifinals ended up in the finals for the Continental. It was Tony doing weird shit. I'm hoping they don't do that again this year.
Right.
But no, I mean, I think and the nice thing about this though is we're going to get a rematch, right. And I want to see these two go at it again.
This match, to me, as good as it was the surprise of the night, just because of how good it was. Right.
It could be the surprise of the tournament. It's probably been one of the best matches this entire tournament.
Well, what I'm trying to get to is it kind of reminded me of the AJ Styles John Cena match in the fact that match with those two were so damn good. I didn't see that coming. And unfortunately, we'll never see it again because this Saturday is Cena's last match, right? But that's a match I would pay to see that match again. And it's the same thing with Speedball Mike Bailey and Kyle Fletcher. This is a match that I 1,000,000% want to see again because it was just that damn good.
Two different things, though. And this is how I'm looking at this. Robbie, I'd like to kind of get your stance on it. Cena and AJ. Match-wise, yes, that match was great. Not a technical masterpiece, though. I think we loved, and I love that match, but I think we all loved that match because of all the stuff we saw in there. The super kick, all the tributes they gave to all the other wrestlers. That's what made that match so great. This match was so damn good because it was just some technical and prowess and just high flying. It was just off the charts. So I want to see both again, but it's for two different reasons. Cena and AJ, and I don't know if Cena and AJ did it again. I don't know if that would have the same oof, because I think we like that match because of all the sentimental stuff to it more than the actual wrestling.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Actually, I can actually agree with that. You're right. Next, we go to what you were mentioning, Grizzled Vet, at the beginning of the podcast, something that you hoping does not happen. Hangman Adam Page issues a warning to Samoa Joe, stating plainly that he is coming for the AEW World Championship at World's End. Now, let me stop real quick with that. I'm wondering if we are some way, somehow, are going to see MJF injected into this some way, somehow, because it has been reported that they are now currently discussing plans with MJF of bringing him back pretty quickly. There was a lot of noise out there, not knowing when he was going to come back, because MJF said that he really loves the whole acting thing. Obviously, he has a contract with AEW, so we know he's coming back at some point. The question was when. I said last week on the podcast with them having the tournament, or I think it's actually, is it a tournament or is it a Rumble for the AEW Diamond Ring?
That's a battle royal, and then the final two guys go one-on-one for the Dynamite Diamond Ring.
Right. I'm kind of suspecting that that's when we're going to see MJF show up, just because he's won it every year. He's a current holder. I'm expecting that's when we're going to see him again. If they found, and this is just completely fantasy talk right now, right? If they found a way to eject MJF in this whole Hangman Adam Page and Samoa Joe issue, along with Swerve, Robbie, would this be more of something more suited than just another Hangman Adam Page and Samoa Joe match at World's End?
Yeah, I mean, how you're going to do it, I don't know. I mean, because you figure my thoughts, just my thoughts. You try to get all four of them. I think Swerve and MJF are going to like outshine Samoa Joe and Page, just because, you know, MJF is who he is. You know, he's probably, disagree with me or not, but I think he's probably the best wrestler right now on, you know, out of all the, you know, as far as all put together, you know, promo wise and work wise and stuff like that. He's the top guy. You know, I would have said him and Seth Rollins, but Rollins is hurt and Rollins just can't stay healthy.
Yeah. I would disagree with you. And again, this is just my opinion. I think Swerve is better than MJF ring wise. On the mic, MJF all day long. In the ring, for my taste, I just like Swerve. And again, I don't know if this is. I highly doubt if they're going to do this. But just for conversation wise, and the reason why I'm saying conversation wise is because of what Grizzled Vet said. He really hopes that they don't have Adam Page once again going after Samoa Joe. So that's what I'm saying. Would it be more interesting for you going to you now, Grizzle, if they did interject somehow an MJF into this whole thing?
I'm an MJF guy, so I would love to see MJF back. I'm sure it's going to end up being a triple threat or something. I can see it being Swerve and Page and Samoa Joe triple threat. We've already seen that. That's what kind of set up the issues between Swerve and Adam Page and the second place. Now, one thing though that you guys are forgetting about, because you keep saying if they could find a way to put him in. When MJF faced Adam Page for that title, he just got Adam Page to accept a challenge. MJF, storyline-wise, still has the casino gauntlet chip to cash in for a title shot. He could just show up and go, bing, title shot, World's End, and they have to put him in. There's an easy way to inject MJF into the title shot in seconds. He just comes out, has his little contract thing, and says, bada boom, bada bing, and he's in. They have to.
But this is the thing. I have a feeling, if I was a betting man, where they're going to put MJF directly back into a storyline, it would be with Briscoe because it's unfinished. Now, here's a question, because I don't know this. Does that chip that he still has, right, where to cash it in, does that have to be for the world title, or could it be for Briscoe's title?
That I don't know. They've never specified, but as we've seen with Money in the Bank before, you can change it if you want. Yeah, right. Oh, the contract says I can go for any title, and he's going to do it. But MJF would go for the world title. Wouldn't make sense for him to go after a TNT belt.
Because again, let's go back to what MJF said before he went to finish filming of this movie. I'm not coming back until I'm back and I'm better, like the old MJF. There was still unfinished business with Briscoe. I could really see Briscoe facing whoever he's facing at World's End, if he still has the title, maybe Daniel Garcia, with MJF actually being put into that before they put him into the whole Adam Page, Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland thing. Because I do agree with Robbie in the fact that if they did do this, it would take away from the highlights or the spotlight, if you will, that Adam Page, Swerve Strickland, and Samoa Joe are in right now.
I'd still say that if MJF used it, it's going to be into a world title. I don't see them. I don't think you say he's got unfinished business with Mark Briscoe. I don't think there's much else they can do. They did that weird thumbtacks and whatever match, and I just think that would be a step back to come back just to go after Mark Briscoe. Yeah, that's just me.
The only reason why I say unfinished business is because of that promo he cut right before he left. Because he basically said he was coming back for Mark Briscoe, and he was going to be better.
Can MJF get any better though? The guy's just so damn good.
Yeah, you know what? His last run, man, I'm being honest with you. I mean, I am a huge MJF fan. His last run, I don't think he was that great. And I think it was because of booking. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people are because of booking.
Well, right. And I don't
if
think
booking was better, Robbie would have been a WCW champion at one point.
Well, yeah, obviously. I don't think we started to see the old MJF, the guy that we all love or love to hate or love to cheer, whatever your point it is, until right towards the end before he left, right? Yeah. Because they had him doing, I mean, MJF, normally when he's cutting a promo, I'm paying attention. There was a couple of promos that had him cut. One was outside somewhere at a partner or something. Can't remember where. That I'm like, this was fucking terrible. Terrible.
Well, yeah.
Right.
What was your favorite MJF promo, though? What was your favorite promo of his?
And the shit they did with the Hurt Syndicate.
That was
just stupid.
That was awful.
Yes. I mean, but that whole thing was stupid. It was awful. I mean, it just was horrible.
Yeah, I agree. Next, and we talked about this.
Answer my question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I said, what do you think is the best MJF promo? We're talking how great he is on mic. What do you think was his best promo?
Yeah, sure. I think by far one of his best was the one with CM Punk. And what's the other one? True, man. There's been so many.
The one he cut on Tony Khan.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, actually,
to me, that was his best one. The one he cut on Tony. You know,
his top two has to be that one and the one with him and CM Punk.
Mine is always going to be when he talked about growing up as a kid in school, and they threw the quarter and said, "Pick him up, Jew boy." Right. And he had that crack. They showed the audience, and people were crying in the audience.
Yeah, again,
that man made people cry with a promo. Right. They were so invested in what he had to say.
Right, and that was the promo against CM Punk.
That was CM Punk. Okay, that was during the CM Punk thing. Okay.
Yep. He actually had a couple of moments. CM Punk. I think that one was his shining light with the promo against CM Punk, and I think the next one, although MJF was damn good, it was CM Punk when he cut that promo on MJF. That was, to me, since AEW has been on television a thing. I think that those two promos and that whole storyline was the best they've had since AEW has been an actual promotion.
I love a promo where you can get, or not even a promo, but in like when I read things, by even a biography, if you can touch someone and get inside of them and make them angry or make them cry or whatever, control their emotions, that to me is an amazing fucking ability. One I wish I had.
Yeah, I agree. Next, we go to what we talked about already: the Young Bucks approaching Luchasaurus to form a trio for the challenge, but I'll pass that to Kenny Omega, who accepted. The Elite is officially back in action next week. Next, we go to the main event: Samoa Joe against Eddie Kingston for the AEW World Championship. Look, this was a match that I was not looking forward to. I just wasn't. I was wrong. I'm not going to say this was the best match of the night because it wasn't. I'm not even say it was the second best of the match, the second best of the night. But it was a good match, and Eddie Kingston actually looked good. I think this was the best Kingston has looked since he has been back? Grizzled Vet, start with you.
Well, yeah, it was a good match, and yeah, Kingston he did look good. But one thing about Kingston is he's got that ability to work with so many different people. He can work so many, so it's easy to make to have a match that's going to look good. And as far as the whole entire show goes, the women's match and then this match, I would put them almost maybe this match, the main event, a little bit better than the women's match. But as an opener and a closer, I thought they were equal. It wasn't, and then they had you had the big speedball, so I like the way they ended with this match. It was a good match. It ended on a decent note. You went up a little bit, then you went down, but you didn't drop drastically down because obviously we've said that Fletcher and speedball were the high point, but this didn't drop too far off of that. So I like the way that once again it bookended the beginning and the end of the show.
Right,
it balanced out. I like Kingston. Did I think Kingston was going to win this match? No. But he put up a good fight. We got the Samoa Joe that he wanted to see, and the people are behind Eddie Kingston because he's the, everyday guy. He's from the Bronx. You kind of believe Eddie because he just looks like he could do what he does. He doesn't do anything flashy. He doesn't do anything off the wall. Like we've said before, he's kind of like a Mick Foley, a Cactus Jack,
Right.
You're into it because it just looks like something, I could do that.
Right. The thing with Kingston, though, since he's been back, and I've said this multiple times, there's been something off with Kingston. There has been. His matches hasn't been the greatest. Eddie Kingston last night, for myself, was the Eddie Kingston of the old, the guy that I was a fan of. He looked good. The match was good. It was entertaining. Robbie, agree, disagree? Where are you at with this?
I disagree. I think, and if Cook was on the show, he'd totally agree with me on this. At one point, they threw some of the shittiest punches I had ever seen. You could see open hands and stuff like that. I'd rather see you, potato the guy or tag the guy than throw those shitty ass open hand slaps. And that was a big. I was not looking forward to this match, and it kind of, to me, it lived up to what I was expecting. I could have done without it. I just kind of knew this wasn't one of those matches I was going to be thrilled about, and it lived right where I thought it was going to be.
Now, something that I didn't mean to skip over this that I wanted to bring up because when I watched that interview with Eddie Kingston backstage, I instantly text Bob to ask him if he's seen it because I like the fact that Eddie Kingston said this tonight, or we were talking about last night.
Right. Okay. Yes.
50th anniversary since Terry Funk won his world title, right? And he kind of dedicated the match. He didn't use those words, but that's kind of what I took to the great Terry Funk, who he said, greatest of all time, in his opinion. I appreciated that. Go ahead, Grizzle.
Yes.
I had the same thought you did when he said 50 years ago, Terry Funk, and my first thought was, fuck, Bob just had a heart attack. Let's not give him another one. God damn.
Unfortunately, Bob missed it. He said, this was Bob Cook's exact. Actually, I don't want to. Bob always has a way of making me laugh. He said, because I was expecting to get something like, "Oh, that's really awesome," because Bob Cook is my Terry Funk. Instead, what he said was, "Should be a hell of a match to miss." Is what he said.
See, so I told you Bob would agree with me on this one.
It's okay, KG. It's you and me against the old boys this time. We enjoyed the match.
But I will give Eddie Kingston credit and his props for giving Terry Funk credit and bringing Terry up. So I give Eddie props on that. The one, and I think, and now, and I also, and I mean, me and Bob, like me saying I agree with Bob, the hell's starting to freeze over right now. So, because when he had said Daniel Bryanson sucks as an announcer, I thought, it's not that bad. But listening to him last night, I think he's been hanging out or sitting next to Tony Schiavone too long, and now you can hear him with this high pitch, high school girl
regarding Kim, there was something that came out, and you guys might have read it, Grizzle, especially you. I guess Daniel has an injury that has really been affecting him, and it's been very distracting for him to sit down as an announcer, even with this injury. Something to do with his neck, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a neck injury.
Right. So, look, is that the reason why he's not really good on the mic? I don't know. I'm just reporting what was reported, right? Because I agree with you. I've been shocked at the fact that I've not been, oh, well, this is good commentary, because it is not, from Daniel. Because he's held his own when cutting promos. So you would think a natural progression would be him being able to do color commentary. Either one, whoever wants to comment on that first. Go ahead.
If you read that article and you read more into it, the reason why he's saying he's not a fan of the commentary is because of the travel.
Right.
Is having to travel to the different areas to do that, because the neck injury it puts on. And I understand that. I've worked on shows with guys, and I've promoted a couple of shows. And one of my guys showed up, and the first thing he said was, "Does anybody have any, Viking or something for a minute?" Because he just drove 8 hours in a car, and he has the bad neck, and his neck was killing him. It's one of the unfortunate things of what these guys do. Is, okay, they're not wrestling anymore, but they still got all those aches and pains and bad necks, bad backs and all. And that's kind of what he referred to. I just don't think he's comfortable as a commentator. Right. And like Robbie said, having him with Tony Schiavone, I liked Tony Schiavone back in the day. Okay, but it wasn't, he's not the greatest.
This is my thing. And
Tony Schiavone needs somebody good to work with.
Yeah.
Look, and Excalibur is not the right partner for Tony, and neither is Daniel Bryan.
This is my thing, and why. Yeah, I'll say things like, I didn't like the commentary last night, but once again, like I don't do professional wrestlers, I won't shit on those who are the commentary too badly, and I'll tell you why. At the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion in August, I did a live podcast while they were doing their on the fly event, because I asked the people that competed and on the fly event got done the match, they're coming directly to me for me to do a quick interview with. Well, in between that, the idea is that I was going to kind of do commentary. I can't speak tonight. I was going to do commentary to kind of describe what was happening to the people who may have been watching live on my YouTube channel, right? Let me tell you something. I've been watching wrestling for fucking 40 plus years, right? And I could have a conversation all day long about professional wrestling. Being a color commentary is not fucking easy. And I sucked at it. So I know I can't do a better job than Schiavone or do a better job than any of the guys in WWE. I just can't. So therefore, I am not going to shit on them that badly. I will voice my opinion that I really didn't enjoy it as much last night as something else, but I'm not talking shit about them because I cannot do a better job. Go ahead.
I had been doing podcasts for about 4 or 5 years by this time, but I had gone to a show here in Sherman, Texas for a Texoma Pro Wrestling, and a friend of mine who was the leader of a podcast that I was on at that time, he was their color guy to do their commentary. Well, the guy he works with normally couldn't show up. And then the girl was supposed to fill in. I guess she had a death in the family, so she wasn't able. So they got me to do it. But he does the color. He was like the Bobby, making all the stuff. I'm the one who had to try to call it straight and do the play-by-play. And I could talk some of the moves and all that, but oh my God. And I had to do the whole show. Not just a match. I did a whole entire 3-hour show that was broadcast on their Facebook page. So people were watching this live on Facebook, listening to my ass trying to do play-by-play, and oh God, it's bad. I don't fault the commentators. and they got a tough job to do. I just think that, some people are better comment. I don't mind Excalibur. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I think they don't like him because of the mask gimmick.
I think he's good.
It seems weird to have a masked commentator because technically you're not supposed to be seen, and he's got the mask on. It looks odd. He doesn't need a mask. Right. I think that's why people don't like him. Yeah. Commentator, he's good.
Let me say this.
And I think him and Taz are great.
Right.
Tony, not so much.
I like Excalibur, and I'll tell you why. Robbie, I'm going to come to you. Because out of everybody that are color commentaries today of professional wrestling are the ones I'm exposed to, he is the one that's most knowledgeable. Moves, everything. I like him. But again, the job is difficult. And on top of it, add this to being a color commentary that you and I didn't have whenever we tried it, Grizzle. You're also wearing an earpiece and having to listen to shit backstage. They're cueing you to say stuff or to do whatever. So that adds another level of complication to it.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Robbie.
No, I like Excalibur. I mean, I like Taz. I just think I'm not a fan of Shivani, partly because I know him and I know what an arrogant asshole he is.
He's an asshole.
So that does play into my part. But even if you go through, and I just think Tony is just way over dramatic. Just to me, he's just way over dramatic. But then you go, and there's times I don't like Michael Cole. I think he gets annoying. I like Wade Barrett. But then you go, I'm not a fan of Corey Graves. I like Joe Testa. There's just guys I just am not fans of, I mean.
God, you and I are going to disagree a lot. I am not a fan of Joe Testa.
I like the guy.
I'm not a Testator guy, and Robbie, you just lost points with me when you said you're not a fan of Corey Graves.
And
I think Corey Graves is great.
I'm going to tell you, I'll probably lose points with both of you. Go, should we keep him on the show? I'm not a fan of Booker as a commentator.
No, I'm not Booker either. But you said that Tony
Booker's entertaining at least, though.
You said that Tony Schiavone was too over the top, basically, right? And that kind of blew my mind when you said that, because I'll be honest with you, at times I'm like, is Tony Schiavone breathing even? And that's the way I feel about Joe as well. To me, there's not enough emotion in either one of those guys. Yeah, they're kind of just talking like this here. Yes, there's a headlock. Oh, there's an arm drag. Blah, blah, blah.
But okay, but here's the thing, like, go back to this, like when Sting was with the company. Tony was like a little high school girl when Sting came out. He was like a little high school girl stood up at the high school prom. Oh, it's Sting. Yeah, I'm like, you got to be effing kidding me.
Was there anybody here who was waiting for him to say that about that guy sitting in the front row the entire show? That had the full Sting face paint. I was waiting for Schiavone to say, it's Sting. Oh, wait, no, it's not.
Speaking of Sting, and I'm glad you brought that up, I want to mention that AEW Dynamite Winter is coming. There was a dark match featuring Stephen Barton Jr., the son of Sting. He actually made his, I guess, kind of AEW debut in his first dark match. Supposedly it went well. We may be seeing him make a debut with AEW here pretty soon. I tell you, this kid, man, you put paint on him and he looks, I mean, you would think it was Sting, a younger version.
Okay, so is he the kid that was Wolfpack Sting at the final match? Because remember, both of his sons came out. One was dressed in NWO red and black, and one was Surfer Sting.
He was he was the taller of the other one.
Okay, so he was the red and black. Okay. They keep mentioning his name, but I never see pictures of him, so I can't remember which one was which.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If you paid attention to my Facebook page, you'd have seen that picture in the article that I wrote about him.
I pay attention to your page enough. I keep posting. I have to post all this stuff.
I'm just giving you shit. I know. But anyway, guys,
everything except when you talk about me, I read all that.
That wraps up. You see how good I talk about you as well. That wraps up AEW. Yeah, man. That wraps up AEW Dynamite. I honestly would give it a B+. I really would. Robbie?
A B. I mean, the match that probably, if you're going to give it a B plus, Speedball and Fletcher. That was my favorite, and then I would say the Page and Swerve, that had to be number 2 to me.
I gave it a B plus because I normally enjoy AEW. The Dynamite, there's some shows that I'm kind of lukewarm about, but they're not terrible. This for myself deserved a B plus because I truly enjoyed it from bell to bell. Even the matches that I wasn't invested in because I wasn't invested in the talent, it was still entertaining. And it didn't make me want to go get up to grab a bowl of popcorn or something, right? So for myself, a B plus. Grizzle?
I would say B plus. And for me, the top 3 matches would be obviously Fletcher and Speedball is above and beyond anything that they did that night. So that was obviously the match of the night. The other 2 I liked the most, though, the ladies tag match that opened the show and the world title match that ended it. I wasn't a fan. It was an okay match, but the tornado thing was just kind of for me. And sending in the ops to help out and them getting taken out by a stapler, it kind of was like, okay. Yeah. But, I like the opening and the closing and probably the middle match. I guess that'd be about where Speedball and Fletcher were.
Right. Yep. So, fans, this is where I take off my hat of being the host of a Get Your Bell Pro Wrestling Podcast. By the way, don't forget to subscribe. And also, don't forget to catch us on EUSA TV. You can find us on Roku, Fire Stick, and on Apple, any streaming services. Just search out the app, ECUSA, and search for us there. You can find us there. But now I become a co-host because now we go and talk about different things that's happened in professional wrestling. And there's no one better to host this segment than the Grizzled Vet himself. Take it away, my man.
I'm telling you, Robbie, he needs to be my publicist. He makes me sound so fucking good. It's great.
You forgot to introduce his buddy, though, Little John, with him.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. You can't see me there. It makes sense. This week we got to talk about John Cena. There's obviously December 3rd. And to me, it doesn't seem real. I'm having a problem. I know I'm going to sound like a mark. Bob might, harass me about this shit.
I'll take his place.
It's hard to believe you'll take his place. Thanks a lot. Okay, next interview, man. We're talking. We brought up cocaine hookers for a second. But, by the way, I'm following Hailstorm on Facebook now. I really like what I've seen so far. I've gone in and watched some of those videos and all that. That girl can freaking sing.
So real quick, when she came to Minneapolis, or actually it was Maplewood, Minnesota. She came and she performed at the Myth. It's a pretty large concert venue. Because some of the friends that I have, I was actually able to get invited to the after per se party, which was upstairs at the Myth. And I actually was able to sit down next to her and had about a 45-minute conversation. She is such a cool person, man. She down to earth. I'm from Louisiana. She said, "Oh yeah, I remember I played at this little place called Houma, Louisiana." She said, "Those are some weird people, no offense." I'm like, "You're right. You are weird. No offense taken." She is awesome. I really like her a lot.
So you met her. He got to party with Janie
I'm
Lane
jealous.
for a little bit.
I'm jealous you got to meet Lizzie.
Yeah, this is cool.
I haven't partied really with anybody. I can tell a great Tone Loc story. You want to hear my great Tone Loc story?
Real quick, let me say something to you. Robbie got to live that rock star lifestyle because he was a pro wrestler. I got to live somewhat of a rock star lifestyle because, I've traveled all over the United States bartending. So I was able to meet so many people. I made so many friends. And that kind of put me on a little bit of that upper level to be able to get invited to a lot of those things, man. Okay. So all you have to do, Grizzle, is either get into the business of wrestling or travel around and be bartending a little bit, man.
I am in the business of wrestling. I've met plenty of wrestlers. I just haven't met rock stars. But let me tell you my Tone Loc story, though, before we talk about John Cena, because I always thought this was kind of funny. Tone Loc does a concert at a club back home in Eureka, California, where I grew up. And one, he was like an hour and a half late because the bus driver took the wrong turn and ended up going 2 hours out of the way. But he shows up, he does his show. Everybody is standing outside the club by Tone Loc's bus because he's on the bus. They're wanting to meet him. And he's like signing pictures and things, handing out autograph pictures. So I'm like maybe 20 feet away from him or so. And this girl I know comes out to one of the security guys outside the bus. And she's like there, and they're talking to the security for a second. And then he goes over and he says something to Tone. I hear Tone go, yeah, no problem. Sounds good. The guy comes over to get her. And I'm looking at her and I'm going, hey. She's like, what? You're only 16 years old. Why are you going on Tone's bus? About 2 seconds later, I hear Tone, oh, no, we can't do that, baby. Sorry, we can't do that. And I'm like, oh. So Tone found out the girl in the little outfit was like 16. He's like, no.
Since we started, let me tell you a little bit of story that pertains to Vanilla Ice. So back in, it was probably around 2003-ish.
This fits into my storyline for tonight. Okay.
It's okay. I was just, since you said it with Tony, Vanilla Ice 2003, I was bartending at this nightclub that Vanilla Ice was playing. Well, they were short a bouncer that night. I was scheduled to be off. They called me, say, hey, Calvin, you want to come bounce? Because I started the business bounces. I'm like, sure. Well, they put me on the stage with Vanilla Ice, right? So I'm kind of back in the corner, make sure no one's running into the stage, and I'm watching the rest of the club. And a fight breaks out right in front of me. So I take off to run, went to jump over the speaker to get to this fight. My foot hit the speaker, busted my ass in front of, 1,500, 2,000 people. Vanilla Ice literally stopped the song he was singing to get everyone to clap for me. That's my cool Vanilla Ice story. I'm going to answer myself.
Okay, back to as I was saying, in 2 days, it doesn't seem real. And I'm like going to mark on the second. It doesn't seem real that this is going to be John Cena's final match. And my wife asked me about this. I legitimately think this is going to be his final match. We know they're going to do WrestleMania in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We know if they say, oh, we want Cena to come over and do the, Cena will show up. He'll come out to the crowd and wave and talk and welcome to WrestleMania, bait, whatever. I don't think he'll wrestle, though. I honestly think this is he's going to be one of the rare ones. He's going to wrestle his last match. He's going to hold to that. Now in a year or two, you might be able to tell me that you were full of shit. But I honestly think, and it's weird to me, it doesn't seem real that in 48 hours, we're going to see him in the ring for the last time. It's odd to me.
Well, at least Grizzle, he's not going to disappear from WWE completely because he did sign a 5-year ambassador
deal. Yes.
So that's that. But I agree with you that I think John Cena is going to be one of the few that he's legit will never get into the ring again.
And that's the way it should be, because I think when you come back from your retirement, I mean, like for Terry Funk, then you can retire sorry, Bob, you can retire like 20 times. And yeah, you always want to see it because Terry Funk was crazy. He's a coot, and it didn't matter if he's 70 years old. He's still going to wrestle in barbed wire and chairs and shit like that. So, but Cena's a different type of cat. He started out, came out, moved to, this is funny. He moved to California to train at UPW, Ultimate Pro Wrestling Academy, with Rick Bass. That was the guy running UPW at the time. And he went out there to train with him. He just said in an interview, I believe was the one that aired on Raw, Killer Kowalski's school was in Massachusetts, not far from where John Cena lived. But he didn't know about the school. Robbie's talking about back in his day, he didn't know about the territories and all that. John Cena did not know there was a school somewhat local to him, and he traveled to California to train to be a wrestler. And he was trained by one of the guys who trained at UPW with Tom Howard. I know Tom, good guy. He was one of the trainers. I got to see John Cena at a UPW show in California. He was wrestling That was when he's doing the prototype. Had the crew cut and everything. And the gimmick was supposed to be he was a prototype of the perfect professional wrestler in look, ability, promo, everything. He was the prototype. And that's what he went to OVW with. He trained with UPW, got signed with WWE in 2000, and went to Ohio Valley Wrestling to train and work with that in the Ohio Valley Wrestling thing. Who at that point in time, Jim Cornette was running the thing. And if you look at the class of wrestlers that came out of Ohio Valley Wrestling, Cena, Orton, Batista, Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin, and all heavy main event. You got to think about that point in time. That was one hell of a class of wrestlers back in the day at Ohio Valley Wrestling. Every one of these guys is a legend. We're going to see a Randy Orton retirement tour someday. And he was in same class with John Cena. That's where he came from. And Ohio Valley Wrestling. He was associated with Kenny Bolin Services. He was one of the managers. And I liked Kenny Bolin. I always kind of thought Kenny Bolin was a fun character and all that. But then John got the opportunity in 2001 to go up to SmackDown, where we all know Kurt Angle, calls out the open challenge. This guy comes out, kind of messed up, a little crew cut, the trunks. What's your name? John Cena. What makes you think you have what it takes to beat me? Ruthless aggression. He threw one punch on Angle and the match started. But you didn't think that you're like, wow, okay. For a lot of people, that was their first look at John Cena. I saw him come out and I'm going, that's the prototype. And if you watched Ohio Valley Wrestling, you knew the prototype. But he went by his real name. He didn't do prototype. Don't think prototype would have been the same if he came out. Now, he wrestled dark matches as the prototype.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing dark matches before SmackDown, before Raws, and he was either the prototype or Mr. P. I don't get Mr. P. But that was some of the names they were giving. Kind of weird. But although prototype got him started, that wouldn't have been the gimmick that kept him going. And we saw John Cena. Now, you're referring to Vanilla Ice, which I said kind of ties into my history because remember, John Cena, the blue chipper, the young up and comer, again. But then on SmackDown, you have a Halloween episode. It's a costume party, and who does John Cena dress like?
Vanilla Ice.
Vanilla Ice. And you found out that John Cena actually, he did rap. He actually rapped with friends of his, which I think is funny, in West Newbury, Massachusetts, whatever, because, that's where all the great, hip hop groups come from is West Newbury. But, he was into hip hop, he was into rap, and he became the doctor of thugonomics. Pardon my new tongue. But he became the doctor of thugonomics, and he rolled with that. People loved to hear his raps to the point where they were starting to cheer him more than boo him, even though he was still the heel because they liked the rap he was doing. When he came out with Bull Buchanan, what is it, 2B or whatever they call it. And then he had Red Dog, which is Rodney Mack. He came out with him for a little bit. But everybody loved Dr. Thugonomics. And that was when he kind of transitioned. He joined a Survivor Series team with Kurt Angle in 2002. And that's when he became a face. And if you look at records of it, John Cena has had the longest hero face run of any wrestler current in WWE from 2002 until now. So 23 freaking years.
Let me ask you this question.
Been a face.
So has he been a face longer than Rey Mysterio? Or are you
Rey Mysterio hasn't been with the company as long as he has.
That was my question. Are you talking about strictly people who are only with WWE?
23 years. It's the longest running face run or hero run for in WWE.
Okay.
23 years. Yes.
Okay. Now here's the question. I want to go back a little bit. We've all heard the story of John Cena, the bus ride. He was on the verge of being fired. If it wouldn't have been for Stephanie McMahon hearing John Cena do this rap, him and a couple of other guys were doing this game where they can, make up a rap on this, basically
rap battle. Yeah. We've all seen that.
Right.
All that shit.
So Stephanie heard it, and this is what led to the success of John Cena. The question is, if Stephanie McMahon would have never heard that, if John Cena would have been let go from WWE, do you think all these years later, John Cena still would have went on to become what he is? Because after all, he had a big machine behind him, but John Cena made John Cena what he is.
Yeah, but you got to look at it this way. At that time when John Cena was doing his big run, like I said, that was 2002. He joined the Survivor Series team and started off on the hero run. What else was there in 2002? Vince had already bought WCW. There was nothing. There was nowhere for him to go. What was he going to do? Indies? Is he going to just hang around for a while until TNA showed up?
Right. TNA started right after that run that John Cena was on.
Yeah, he started his hero run in WWE, and obviously it clicked, and that's where he stayed. Right. And the story is true, that is, John Cena has said that in interviews before. He was on a bus. They were doing a tour somewhere. I forget where it was. But yeah, they were just like doing rap battle bars or whatever to kind of pass the time. Stephanie heard it and thought, hey, you should, and then they did the Halloween episode where he dresses up as, Vanilla Ice and all that. And you found out he could rap. I find it funny. That's how they started off.
But, I've always wondered, though, going back to what I said, if John Cena would let him go, I've often wondered, because TNA started not long after that, if Cena would have been let go by WWE, I know we can talk what ifs all you want, but I do find this interesting. I've often wondered if they would have picked up John Cena, and if John Cena would have done for TNA kind of what Hulk Hogan did for WWF at the time, right?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so, because one, if he'd have been let go, TNA wouldn't have been, like I said, it hadn't started yet. John Cena was just that guy, ruthless aggression in the trunks fight. He hadn't established anything yet. Maybe if he had gone to TNA a few years later, because look at Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle wrestled for TNA longer than he wrestled for WWE. Maybe something along that line. If they'd have cut him when they had planned on it, there wasn't a TNA yet. And by the time there was, I don't think John Cena would have been, because all he would have had was indies. He would have been doing indie stuff. And I don't. Right. Now, granted, yeah, he was UPW. Yeah, he was making a name in Ohio Valley Wrestling. But the prototype wasn't what put him over the top. Yeah. And it was that rap gimmick that kind of showed you that he had charisma and got the fans behind him.
Let me ask both of you a question with this. We talked about his debut. We talked about him saying a ruthless aggression. This was the start kind of the ruthless aggression era. For myself, I knew that there was going to be something special for John Cena. Didn't know exactly what it was going to be, but I did think that there's going to be something special when they allowed him to do that quick 10-second spot. Same show with the Undertaker behind the scene, backstage that night. I'm like, wow, they have this kid with the Undertaker. They must really see something in him. When did you guys know or even think this John Cena is going to actually do something for the business? Grizzle, Robbie?
I had been watching him in UPW, and I was a tape trader, so I'd seen stuff of him in UPW. I was also seeing his stuff in Ohio Valley Wrestling. So I had seen him before he got there, so I knew he was good. Was he now we say he's good, but is John Cena like a great wrestler? Is this a guy you're going to rank up there as like one of the top 5 or top 10 wrestlers of all time? No. He's charismatic, and the fans get behind him. Wrestling-wise, not so great. It's the charisma. But I've been watching him before that, so I knew he was good. And like I said, when he came out, I'm like, well, that's the prototype. But obviously, they didn't go with prototype; they went with his real name. So,
what I found interesting, and Rob, we're going to come to you, was this interview that I watched this past Monday on YouTube. When he talked about the fans chanting, "You can't suck." He said that he actually listened to the fans to a degree, and that kind of pushed him to be a little bit better in the ring because of that. Robbie, though, same question. When did you think John Cena became the special guy, that you seen something in him as well? Like, you may not have realized that he was going to go where he went to, but at the same time, he's going to make a name for himself.
Truthfully, never. He's good on the mic, but as far as his wrestling skills, no. And that's what I was going off of, his wrestling skills. I didn't see it. I crack up still to this day. And I guess they're telling them to say it, the GOAT, the greatest of all time and stuff. I'll put him in the top 25 as far as a wrestler. That's my personal. I don't think he's as good as Harley Race, Terry Funk, Ric Flair, Hogan, Steamboat. You can go down the line, and then you can go even earlier, like a Bruiser Brody, Dusty Rhodes, Jack Briscoe, Dory Funk. To me, he's not in that category. Those guys were all-time greats,
Right.
He appeals, I guess, to the newer generation, for the rap stuff. His promos are good. I give him, he's one of the top guys with promos. As far as wrestling wise, talent wise, like I said, I don't put him in the top 25.
Now, Grizzle, do you think this is a fair statement that I'm going to make? That I think what really put Cena on the map was the fact that during this era, the ruthless aggression era, which kind of very quickly became the PG era, that there was nobody but John Cena that could have carried WWE through those eras. Because, I was thinking about this today, knowing that we were talking about this tonight. The ruthless aggression era going into the PG era was coming right off the bat of the Attitude Era. So you still had those Attitude Era fans there, right? And John Cena during this era being able to do these promos when he was rapping and kind of being still a little edgy when the rest of the show was kind of milky clean. I think that's what really put him in the spotlight with the fans, not so much because of his wrestling skills, as Robbie said, but because of the entertainment factor, the promos that he was cutting. That was a little Attitude Era-ish versus what everyone else was doing.
Well, right. No, I agree with Robbie. As far as wrestling-wise goes, no, he's not in the league of a Harley or a Terry Funk or a Ricky Steamboat. And even he's going to say that. Mm-hmm. He's not going to tell you he's like one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. On the mic, definitely one of the best. Charisma, one of the best. Robbie, you mentioned Hogan. I'm opinion of Hogan, kind of like you or John Cena. As a wrestler, Hogan wasn't great because he only had
right.
Move, and then 3 punches, big boot, leg drop, 5 move, done, and that was it. But Hogan was charismatic. Hogan could talk. He was good on a mic. He had charisma. That's what Cena had going for him. The rap gimmick.
Not to interrupt you. Let me interrupt you real quick, though. I think the difference between the two, and people will argue this, if you watch a Hulk Hogan in New Japan, he had a lot more moves, and he was a much, much better wrestler than what he was here in the United States.
He did, but you got to remember back in the 80s during the era of Hulkamania when it was huge and everybody was like, say your prayers and eat your vitamin, whatever, and everybody was like a little Hulkamaniacs. How much as a kid, how much Japanese wrestling did you watch?
Right. None. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
But here was my point on that, though. If you put Cena and Hogan, and maybe it's the eras, but to me, Hogan elevated. I mean, if you ask people even today, do you know Hulk Hogan? Do you know John Cena? I guarantee you a lot more people are going to say Hulk Hogan than John Cena.
See, I disagree with that nowadays because
depending
on everything John Cena's done with just Make-A-Wish Foundation.
But let's say you go to someone in like my age group, not talking about kid-wise, okay, my age group, and not a wrestling fan. You go, do you know Hulk Hogan? Do you know John Cena? I guarantee you don't think so?
No, and I'll tell you why. John Cena made a huge mark in both professional wrestling and as an actor. Much bigger mark than Hulk Hogan ever did as an actor. John Cena, I mean, hell, right now, the show that he does for HBO,
Peacemaker.
Yeah, Peacemaker. I mean, that's huge, right? So I think based upon John Cena's success in both professional wrestling and as an actor would elevate him. I'm not going to, I don't want to say he's going to be known more than Hulk Hogan, but I will say that I think that it would be probably tied. I think for everyone that says they know Hogan would also say they know John Cena.
You see, and I think also part of the thing is, Hogan, huge star, obviously. We all saw him on Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. We saw him do Saturday Night Live with Mr. T and TV and stuff like that. So yes, Hogan was the huge name. People are going to know Hogan, and the day Hogan died, people remember. It was just a few months back. We all know what we were doing when we heard the news. Holy shit, Hulk Hogan died because a piece of our childhood died. Cena, on the other hand, his star rose at the same time that social media and your Facebooks and your MySpaces and all that shit were starting to, and the internet was becoming a thing. Hogan didn't have that. So John Cena had a whole different avenue to promote himself. And Make-A-Wish, Hogan did some Make-A-Wish, but John Cena is the number one Make-A-Wish guy. He's done like over 700 or something. I think the next person behind him, I think they said, has done like 300. So whoever's second isn't even close to what he's done in Make-A-Wish. When they want to send somebody, they got a show in New York at Madison Square Garden. Oh, we want a WWE guy for the Today Show to promote the show. Who did they send? They sent John Cena. So John Cena got national exposure on all these talk shows to promote all these because, good looking guy, well known, and they love to promote all the goodwill stuff he did. Hogan went on the Carson Saturday Night Live, and what did he promote? He promoted Hogan. John Cena promoted the WWE, the event coming up at this. He promoted Make-A-Wish, a lot of other charities. Hogan did Hogan. John Cena did Goodwill, I think. So in that case, and like Robbie said, as far as movies go, okay, Hogan did No Holds Barred. Now, John Cena didn't do a lot of great movies. I enjoyed The Marine. I thought The Marine was decent. But Cena's also pushed the envelope a little bit. You see wrestler, see him on TV, except for that crappy heel thing he did earlier this year. Kids loved John Cena. And he'd come out and throw the hat. Kids loved him, the little kid that he made cry on the one episode he made up to him. Kids love him. Kids are not going to see some of the movies that John Cena has done because, there was a few of these movies. John Cena ain't got no clothes on. John Cena naked. I've seen some stuff of Cena I don't need to see. So he's gotten out of the family-friendly stuff and pushed it on. All of Hogan's movies are family-friendly stuff. Thunder in Paradise is a family-friendly show. Right. Mr. Nanny and all that other stuff.
And let me add this, though, because I don't want anybody to mistaken what I'm saying and comparing the two. Hulk Hogan absolutely 100% did, or he impacted professional wrestling more so than John Cena. I mean, Hulk Hogan changed professional wrestling not just once, but twice, right? Mm-hmm. So as far as impact wise, Hulk Hogan all the way, 100%. But I think John Cena has a name that's just as big as Hulk Hogan because of what Cena's done, everything that he's done.
If Hogan hadn't done what he did, there'd have been no stage for John Cena to be on. We wouldn't have a guy like John Cena. We wouldn't have Roman Reigns, whoever the top guys are nowadays. We wouldn't have them if Hogan hadn't built that stage for them back during the Hulkamania era. We wouldn't have had it. There's no doubt about it. But I think a lot of now is Cena. They see Hogan and they go, "Oh yeah, he's that wrestler, WWF." They see Cena and they go, "Okay, he's a wrestler," but then they're like, "Oh wow, look at all the goodwill he does. Look at all the charity work he does. Oh, I saw him in that movie. That movie was fucking funny." So it appeals to I think he appeals to a broader fan base. People don't look at Cena and go, "Oh, he's just that wrestler," because he's proven to be more than that. Hogan was always the wrestler. Hogan was never the movie star.
Yeah. Well,
but back in the day, when we'd all travel together and Bob would bring up, like, who do you think the biggest name in wrestling is? And him and I would argue, and he goes, okay, I can ask, if you ask 10 people on the street, I'll guarantee you they'll know who Hulk Hogan is. And I used to argue with them. And then the more you thought about it, and we do it once in a while, because I would always say Ric Flair. So I wound up losing that one. But because, you kind of thought, okay, at the time, WWF and, WCW were battling, and Flair was our star and Hogan was theirs. And it panned out that, you know, Hogan was that more of a name than even Ric Flair.
That's because Ric Flair was more of that territorial star versus Hogan was that national star.
Right.
Yeah. Flair had the territory, and Hogan had the Vince McMahon, you know, machine behind him, which created a worldwide phenomenon known as sports entertainment. I know you hate that word, Robbie, but
yeah, I do too. And
yes, I do.
That's why I loved. That's why I loved, you know, that the promo that Gunther cut on this past Monday Night on Raw, when he pointed that out. He said John Cena may be a great sports entertainment star, but I am the best professional wrestler. I mean, I love that because he pointed that out. But John Cena was huge. I think 20 years from now, people are going to be saying, and it may be even happening now, because Cena got into the business, you know, this was 20 plus years ago, that we have professional wrestlers who got into the business because of Cena.
We have wrestlers now who got.
That's what I'm saying. That's what you said.
Yeah.
You know, now. So I mean, Cena's massive, and you know, Cena retiring. You know, you Grizzle, you said, you know, everyone knows where they're at when we heard of the passing of Hulk Hogan, right? And that's 100% real, man. Hogan was magnificent, and it hurt when he passed. I think that people are going to be able to say where they were at when they watched John Cena have his final match.
I honestly think, and we're talking like if they have it at the beginning of the show or the main event, yes, people are going to say, I remember watching, you know, Cena's last match in a far better light than I can say I saw Ric Flair's last match, because that was
absolutely
God. But the thing is, I think, and this might be a little over the top, this is my opinion, I think that more people are going to be watching Cena's final match on Saturday than any other thing else. If you took, say, we'll go with 100. If you took 100 TVs, right? I would be willing to say that 95 of those TVs would be turned into Cena's final match. Wrestling fans and people who know him from the Goodwill, the movies, and all that stuff. I think it's a big enough event. It's going to be one of the most watched matches in a long damn time. That might be my opinion, but I think it's going to be the most watched thing going on TV at this time.
The only reason I'm going to disagree a little bit about, you know, more people than say watching Ric Flair's final match, right?
Well, we're not talking Ric Flair's final match. That was just me being a smartass.
You know, but I'm just saying the only reason I'm going to, you know, I would disagree with something like that was because not so much of it being Ric Flair's final match as it was a WrestleMania event, right? Versus this just being a Saturday night main event. But I think that if you took the eyes of people who are there to only watch Flair's final match versus eyes upon who wants to, you know, there just to watch Cena's final match, I think Cena would take it all the way. I really do. And nothing against Ric Flair. I love Ric Flair. Ric Flair was also a massive trailblazer in this business. Mm-hmm. This business also wouldn't be where it's at if it wasn't for the Ric Flairs. But
I just think with social media and everything and the hype behind it and how he's so known in more avenues than just wrestling, even if it's just that match or even if it's just for a few minutes, there's going to be some point in time on Saturday. It's going to be the most watched thing in, I don't know how far back to go. It's going to be huge. Even if it's only for 5 minutes, people are going to go in to see it, go, okay, I want to watch this for a minute.
Yeah.
And then when it goes on YouTube, the clips, dude, those things are going to skyrocket. We already know WWE gets 1 billion views already. It's going to skyrocket.
Right. Put it to you
the
this
numbers
way.
are going to be amazing.
Put it this way. My wife and I was supposed to be leaving town this weekend. There's something that they do in Duluth, Minnesota every year. It's called Bentleyville, where it's this massive Christmas thing that they do. Matter of fact, they've won for the 4th year in a row the best Christmas venue to go to in the United States, right? Because of John Cena's match, we canceled the trip this weekend. And it doesn't, and sure, you know, the podcast has a little bit to do with it, but it's more of the wrestling fan in me that has.
You want to see it.
Absolutely.
That was
I
me.
don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch a replay. I want to be able to say I watched it live.
Yeah, I put in for the day off at work like 4 months ago. When they announced December 13th, I put it on the calendar. I didn't want to see social media clips while I was at work or what happened. No, I want to see this.
Yeah.
You know, I'm hoping my living room's not dusty because I hate when dust gets in my eye. You know.
Now, here's a question for you guys. We're coming up on 2 hours here. What was, start with you, Grizz? Well, I'll answer first. What was your favorite John Cena match? For me, I love the match between him, CM Punk, Money in the Bank, 2011. There was so much emotion in that match because of the love or hate, whatever you fell upon with CM Punk. And then there's John Cena. That match may not be in the match that stole the show, but there was a lot of investment for so many fans in this match. Grizzle, start with you. Your favorite John Cena match.
Real quick, I'll throw in a little addition to your thing.
Yeah.
Remember their SummerSlam match they had, him and Punk had?
Yeah.
I went to a Raw in San Jose, California. The Raw before that match, right? Before SummerSlam. It was the go-home show, basically, right? They have dark match. The dark match that night was John Cena versus CM Punk. We were the audience that got to see basically the run-through of the match they had at fucking SummerSlam.
Right.
And the one I saw at Raw was almost better because they were trying different stuff and working out different things to see what was going to go. They used us as a test audience to see what we liked and what we didn't like. I got to see that as the test run of the match from SummerSlam.
Wow. That's awesome.
My favorite match, though, I'm a huge Cena AJ Styles match now. That's up there in my top list because of, but that's a nostalgia match. Right. I'm going to say Cena versus Rob Van Dam at the One Night Stand, just because even as a fan favorite and everybody loved him, Cena, Robbie, maybe you've seen the match probably. You might agree with this one on it. That almost had that crowd feel where John Cena better have security and be careful because somebody might get stupid and try to stab him. They hated John Cena that night, and those fans were so into it that it made it such a great match.
I agree.
Just Cena wins, we riot, and when Rob Van Dam won, that place blew up. If I were Cena, I would have been a little scared going to the ring that night.
That match gave me vibes of the fans back in the 80s where they would literally be known for throwing urine at the guys. That was the heel that they hated. I mean, that was incredible. That was actually my second. Robbie, what about you, man?
Truthfully, I missed that match. I wish I'd have seen it. Maybe I'll have to go back and watch it.
Go look at it, man. It's amazing. The crowd reaction is just off the chart.
Truthfully, I don't have a favorite Cena match. But I'm going to have to go watch this one. So the Cena Van Dam match. So, like I said, I wasn't a big fan of him. Like I said, great promo guy, just worker wise. I just thought there were better people.
Yep. Well, Grizzle, answer this for me then. What Cena storyline do you think had more impact on professional wrestling at that time?
Oh, God.
Let me tell you mine, what you think about it. Mine was The Rock, and I'll tell you why. Because I find it very interesting. There was some legit heat between John Cena and The Rock because John Cena had talked some shit about The Rock on a radio, I think it was a radio interview, basically calling The Rock, a part-timer because he was out in Hollywood making movies. And he questioned the legitimacy of The Rock saying that he still loved professional wrestling, right? And then here we are so many years later, because of his success, he found himself in the same spot as The Rock, which Cena later on went and apologized for making that comment. He got it. He understood. But back then, because of the real heat between the two and that storyline, for myself, I think that storyline at that moment during professional wrestling was probably one of the hottest out there.
God, throw me on the spot on this one because you asked match. Okay, storyline thing. I don't even know if you call it storyline, but I think his rivalry with Edge kind of put it over because wrestling was kind of in a pause spot at that time. It wasn't huge, it wasn't gangbusters, but people were tuning in to see that, and you knew if you had that match, they could have stuck that match in anywhere, and it would have been a great match. That's a Flair Steamboat, rivalry right there. And I think Edge and Cena is probably one of the ones because it kept wrestling up to the forefront where people were watching it when maybe ratings weren't as great as they could have been or are now.
Now, I have the Cena Edge match, TLC match at Unforgiven in 2006 as my number 3 favorite match.
They had so many great matches too, though.
Yeah.
And him and Randy Orton, and all that. They had some people talk about him and Punk. Him and Punk had matches, but not as many as him and Orton or him and Edge.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Robbie never watched, so he doesn't have anything.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. So is there anything else that you want to go there about Cena before we wrap this up, my man?
I'd like him not to remember just the wrestler, though, or the actor. I want people to also remember the goodwill he's done because we talk about Make-A-Wish. Yeah. It's over 700 Make-A-Wish.
Yeah. And
we've all heard the story about the one the mother was trying to leave the country with her son because the country's in war. I can't think of it just got about a year or so ago. But to get their son to leave, they told him, "Oh, John Cena's gonna be there to see you." Cena heard about this through the Make-A-Wish Foundation, whatever, flew to the country and made that wish and made that mother's story come true. They used Cena because the kid loved John Cena to get him to leave because he didn't want to leave his home. But they got him to leave his home to go see because Cena was going to be waiting for him. And Cena took the time out of his schedule, whatever, because he wasn't wrestling. He was doing, but took time out to go be there and actually make that, that come true. Right. So the kid wasn't like, because the kid has some developmental issues, things like that. So, but who does that?
Right. Yeah.
He needs to be remembered for his goodwill stuff as much as the wrestling and the acting. I mean, like this.
Yeah.
I mean, if Bob Cook had the chance, Bob would have done that. So.
Bob would have paid out.
But yeah, guys, we'll be back to talk about Saturday Night Main Event, specifically about John Cena on Saturday, directly about 30 minutes after Saturday Night Main Event. We will be here tomorrow to talk about the Go Home SmackDown to Saturday Night Main Event. SmackDown has not been very good lately, as far as I'm concerned. Raw has been, for the most part, on fire. So yeah, we'll be here. Did we love it? Did we hate it? Was it just okay? Tune in, subscribe. I have great guests lined up. I have Joe Malenko coming on pretty soon for me to interview. Vet, do you have anything you want to push? Plug?
Well, of course, Rasslin Memories on Pioneer 90.1 FM KSRQ. Last week, we had Robbie Idol as a guest on our show. It's gotten over 100 listens in the time we posted it up. It was a great interview. We will be bringing Robbie back again for part 2. So looking forward to that. This weekend, we are going to be talking with Bob Smith from Pro Wrestling Illustrated. We're going to be discussing what we'd like to see on season 7 of Dark Side of the Ring. We're going to be picking our choices, seeing what we want to see, and see if maybe some of those episodes might actually make it onto the show. So,
yeah. Go ahead, Robbie. There was something I wanted to say, but I forgot.
Okay. Well, all right. So I guess I'm going to plug 2 things.
Yeah.
So we're going to plug the January 17th show with TWA. Supposedly the final the final show for the TWA at the studio. So January 17th, if you can make it, $15, you get to hang out with wrestlers. They feed you. And then since Christmas is coming up. We're going to do a cheap plug for me. Go buy my book, Looking Up at the Lights by Robbie Idol.
Yeah,
Robbie, real quick.
Christmas gift for you. So,
and let me tell you, fans, about this book, right? I am not just saying this because Robbie is my co-host on here, because I'd be honest with him. I'm an honest guy. If I thought it sucked, I would be like, it sucked. It didn't. I was able to read this book straight through in less than 3 hours because it was that good.
I thought you were going to say it's that small, but we need volume 2, Robbie. Real quick though, Robbie, I want to ask you, and it is a great book. I have to agree with KG.
Well, thank you.
But
guys.
for the people who haven't listened to your interview on our show, which you can find on our SoundCloud page, just go search for Rasslin Memories, Robbie Idol. You'll find it. Can you share the Shane Douglas story that you told us? Because you're talking about looking up the lights, and that story made me laugh so hard.
So the story we told, so it was, it was with WCW, and they were pushing him and Johnny, but they separated him that night. I don't know who he was supposed to work, and so they were putting the other guy over. Like I said, I don't remember who he was working, but he was like, I've never lost to him. I'm not losing. And they just kept going back and forth. And finally, he just went, fuck you, I quit. He goes, I'm not losing. Fuck you, I quit. And as he walked out, and I'm kind of, either Rick or Bob was sitting next to me. And I looked at one of them and went, for an extra $500 a week, I'll tell them every light bulb in the arena that needs to be changed.
My favorite story in there was when Robbie and Bob were on the same show, and Bob loves Evel Knievel. And because I knew that, and as I'm reading this, I have the image in my head. And as Bob is talking about Robbie Knievel, Robbie decides to just look at him and say, he sucks, which led to a fight. Now, what was really funny about it was, and I apologize, my memory sucks. I can't remember the gentleman who was hosting this, but this guy is disabled. That didn't stop Robbie and Bob from basically rolling over this guy and knocking him down. Great story.
And it's funny because you asked, did we plan that? But it was talking, and I just thought I'd be funny and just go, hey, he sucks. And Bob he lost it, and that's what started the whole thing. So it wasn't even planned. It was just one of those right off the cuff things. And I made a smart ass remark, and away we went.
That's awesome. So yes, please go buy this book, guys. Also, please tune in to Rasslin Memories, not only to listen to the amazing interview that they did with Robbie, because I listened to it. It was a great, great interview. But also just to check the Grizzled Vet out. The show it's a great show. It really is. I even subscribe to it because it's very entertaining. What is your host's name again?
Glenn Brogan. He's actually the creator and the first host. I took over for George Shire in 2018. So I've been with the show. It'll be going on 8 years in January. Yeah,
look, guys, if you want to talk to two people who have so much knowledge about professional wrestling, I'm telling you, check this show out. It is such a good show. It is the type of show that you're not checking your watch. It literally, time goes by fast because it's so damn.
Hold on a second. Let me get your Cash App out here. Let me see.
Hey, I can back that up. Being on there, it was the fastest hour I ever went through.
Yeah, I mean they're good shit. That's why and we're gonna end with this. I just wrote a little something thanking everybody because the podcast has been going for a year now. And Robbie and Grizzle were not my original co-host on here. I had another co-host. He had to take a step back for a bit. And that's when, Robbie was actually someone I interviewed with. I clicked with him like instantly and I got to get Robbie. And then I was looking for another co-host and the Grizzle Vet was like, well, I can fill in for a little bit. And let me tell you, finding both of you guys, and I've said this before, and I wrote it on Facebook, was one of the best finds because you guys both offer so much to this podcast. You really, really do. You guys are entertaining and so knowledgeable, and I truly love talking about professional wrestling, amongst other things that we talk about on this podcast. So, I mean, thank you both for adding to this podcast. I really appreciate it. And this is why, though, I stand behind what I say when I say that Robbie Idol's book is a good book, because it really is a good book. And the Rasslin Memories with the Grizzled Vet and Glenn, it truly is a really good wrestling program that I really suggest everybody check out. I really do.
Well, thank you. And hey, man, this podcast you're putting together, I'm glad you added me on here. So, like I said on the show, when you told me, hey, I'd like you to come on, you'll do Thursdays. Oh, we're going to be working with Robbie Idol. And my first thought was, wait, the WCW guy? I'm going to work. Okay. I'm just a simple kid, I'm going to work with a guy I used to watch on TV. All right. Let's do this.
You know what? I've been blessed. I mean, the fact that Baby Doll was my very first interview, which, look, I went back and watched it a few days ago, and I was so embarrassed because I'm not a great speaker. To this day, I'm not. But my God, I've gotten so much better since a year ago. I'm like, oh. And then right after that, Magnum TA was on. So I've been so fortunate with this podcast to not only have the guests, but again, to have people like you, Bob, the Grizzled Vet, and even George. So it's been a great experience. And most importantly, I've been able to make friends, you guys that, have very quickly become family to me. So people there's a saying that I've heard people say that in professional wrestling, you don't really make friends. And I completely disagree with that.
Right.
Wholeheartedly.
I want to thank both you guys, and I thank you very much for the compliment on the book. And I can't thank you enough for bringing me on, to be this, and the kind words that you say that I, bring a lot to the show. And, same with you, Mike. It's a pleasure. I mean, it's been a blast. I'm very fortunate to be part of this, and, I'm blessed. I can't thank you guys enough, so I'm very fortunate. And people have watched our podcast, KG, and the podcasts I have been on, they have, complimented you and said, wow, he was very prepared, very professional and stuff. So you definitely, I had never saw the Baby Doll one, but I'm
gonna go look it up now.
Right. There you go. There's his dirt on you. But a couple of the people, and I want to say one of people that, I've known, a couple of the people that have said, wow, really great podcast. Both of you guys did a great job. One of them was, he was a big shot in Washington, D.C. So he gave you a compliment.
That's awesome.
So,
that's awesome.
Trump.
Yeah, no. I don't know who's watching, so I don't want to. I don't even want to go. It was funny. I will say this though. When I wound up doing work, his wife was a big interior decorator. And then when they moved down here, she still was an interior decorator. And I did a bunch of work for her clients. So she goes, I got to bring you to my house. So as I'm going to, as I'm doing the estimate, I'm in his office, and, he had pictures with all the presidents and everything and stuff. And I came in through the garage, and as I was going out, one of the pictures in there had caught my eyes, and he was holding Reagan's wife, Nancy Reagan, after Reagan had gotten shot. So there was a picture of him holding that, and I thought, I am not asking this man anything. And I did some work a little bit later down, for a neighbor of his, and he was like, oh, did you ask so-and-so about his time in Washington? I went, nope, I am not going there, not asking him a question about it. And the guy told me a thing. I'll tell you guys, I'll text you in a message who he was, and you'll go, wow. So,
Well, look, you guys need to subscribe to the podcast, because apparently Tony Khan, I know he watches it. I think Donald Trump may be watching now as well. I mean,
I might quit the show then. I don't know.
Guys,
I keep politics out of my shit. So.
Yes, right. Well, no, but I will text you who he was, and you'll go, wow, But
awesome.
This guy is super nice guy, and it's funny. Out of all my clients that have ever been around and stuff, I've actually, like I said, him and his wife I'm very, close with, I think very highly of them. And they said the same back and stuff. They were the only people I have actually ever sat down and had drinks with out of all my clientele, that I was actually comfortable enough to sit there and, have a couple drinks with them.
Speaking of drinks, it's about time that I go have a nice little drink. Those guys, again, thank you all very much for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe. Again, catch us on ECUSA. Don't forget to buy Robbie Idol's book. Don't forget to catch Rasslin Memories. Until then, we will see you guys tomorrow night about 30 minutes after SmackDown goes off the air. Did we like it? Did we love it? Who knows? Tune in to find out. Till then, you guys have a great night.